Good morning, friends. This morning I'm going to read a story, and it's a really silly story, and it's called Don't Eat the Teacher. Oh my gosh, that would be silly. And look, there's a shark on the cover. Did you know that we are the Standiford Sharks? That's our mascot. That's pretty cool. I'm going to read a book with a shark. And the author and illustrator is one person today, Nick Ward. That means he wrote both the words and drew the pictures. And remember, we have our front cover here, our spine, and then the back cover. And look at in these big bold words, it says crunch. We're going to find out what that means. I hope it doesn't hurt. Let's read Don't Eat the Teacher. And we can see they're under the ocean. All those little fish swimming around. Remember, that's the title page. Don't eat the teacher. Hurry up, Sammy, his mother called. You'll be late. Sammy dived downstairs for his breakfast. It was his first day at school, and he was very, very excited. I'm usually excited too. Look at he's swimming down. He's got a teddy bear. But when Sammy became too excited, he had the unfortunate habit. A habit is something you do over and over again, as all young sharks do, of biting things. Well, we're sharks, but we don't bite things. Sammy opened his mouth and look at, he's got his cereal, and they're called Crunch, Breakfast Crunch. See what happens. Crunch! Oh, no. Oh, Sammy, complained his mother. Don't eat the table. Sorry, Mom, blushed Sammy. He grabbed his school bag, kissed his mother, and swam out of the door. Be a good boy, Sammy, cried his mother. Sammy and his dad drove down the street to Sammy's new school. In the playground, a group of children were playing tag. Excellent, cried Sammy, and dashed off to join in. You're it, shouted a shrimp. You're it, cried a cod. That's a fish. You're it, howled a haddock. Another type of fish. They must be playing tag. Sammy opened his mouth and... oh, no! Crunch! Oh, Sammy, the children moaned. Don't eat your school friends. No, it's not very good manners. Sorry, blushed Sammy. He hiccuped politely and out swam the little fish. And the little fish says, Am I still it? And if you look right here, you can see that's called a story bubble. It's kind of shaped like a bubble, but that means that fish is talking. The bell rang and all the fish swam off to their classroom. So there they go. Time for school. Good morning, children, beamed the teacher. Let's start the day with a really good story. Hey, that's kind of like what we do. We start with a really good story. Excellent, thought Sammy, flapping his tail in excitement. Here we are, said the teacher. Here's a story we can really sink our teeth into. Sammy opened his mouth and I bet he's going to eat the book. Crunch! Oh no, I'm glad Sammy's not here eating my books. Oh, Sammy, cried the children, don't eat our story. Sorry, blushed Sammy. Never mind, smiled the teacher. Let's try some painting instead. Splish splosh. Sammy loved painting. He was so excited, it was hard not to nibble his paintbrush. Finish, he called. And look at him painting back here. Look at all that paint. Sammy, that's lovely, said the teacher. It looks good enough to eat. Sammy opened his mouth and... oh, she shouldn't have said that. Crunch! Oh, Sammy, groaned the teacher. Sorry, blushed Sammy. Never mind, said the teacher, giving him a cuddle. It's music now. Music and movement, called the teacher, as I play the piano. I want you to all pretend you are seaweed swaying in a gentle current. So they're seaweed. They're moving back and forth, back and forth. I'm seaweed, thought Sammy, drifting and stretching as elegantly as he could. And you can see all the fish going. The current is getting stronger, sang the teacher. The children started to dance even faster. Sammy started to get excited. Now you're a storm, the teacher cried. A terrible storm, destroying everything in its path. Oh no, I'm a terrible storm, Sammy yelled. He opened his mouth and, can you guess what he's going to eat? Crunch, crunch, crunch. Sammy, stop, yelled the children. Don't eat the... Oh no, look at... Whew. Oh dear, thought Sammy as he got ready to go home. I didn't mean to. Tomorrow I'll be good. Really, really good. Hello, darling, said Sammy's mother at the school gate. How was your first day at school? Excellent, said Sammy. And what did you learn today? Lots, blushed Sammy. Don't eat the stories, don't eat the paintings, don't eat the classroom, and don't eat the teacher. And even the fish says, don't eat the teacher. I don't want to be eaten. That would not be good at all. And there's those little fish swimming around in the ocean again. That was a good story. I think I have time for one more. Let's find out about this one. The next one has some animals, some other little animals. And the story, I think it's going to be a little bit mellower than the shark. And it's called Library Mouse, A World to Explore. The author and illustrator is Daniel Kirk. And we see two little mice. And by the title, I bet they're in the library. A library is a place where you can go and get lots of books. I love books because I love to read. All right, here we go. Sam was a library mouse. He lived in a little hole in the wall behind the children's reference books. Every night he went looking for adventure between the covers of books. So Sam loves to read books, and he goes on all different kinds of adventures as he's reading the stories. One evening, Sam went for a stroll. A stroll is a walk. He smiled to see the class projects children had made to place atop the library shelves. A poster on the wall read, "Discover our great big world." It is a great big world, Sam said, and I love to read all about it. You can learn so much from books. Then he sighed, gazing at the books on the very top shelves, which were just a little too high for him to climb. He's pretty small, and he wants to get way up here. That's way high up there. Suddenly, Sam saw something out of the corner of his eyes. Swoosh! Another mouse landed gracefully on the floor right in front of him. Whoa, she said. That was some ride. Good thing I had my parachute. And you can see she's got a parachute right there. She stuck out her paw and smiled. Hi, my name's Sarah. What's yours? I'm Sam, he answered. I live here. I live here too, Sarah said. On the other side of the library. They lived in the same library and didn't even know they lived together. I was exploring, and that's when I discovered that playground. Playground, said Sam. I love the illustrations. It almost looks like real fur on Sarah. Up high on the shelves, Sarah explained. You can almost see the whole world. I just went on that giant slide. I didn't know I was going to fall so far, though. You climbed all the way up there? Asked Sam. He had never dared to go all the way to the top. Sure, said Sarah. I'm an explorer. An explorer is someone who goes to all different kinds of places and learns about new things. All explorers climb. Sam shook his head. Well, that's not a slide. You just went down the side of a pyramid. A what? And if you look, I don't think they have the pyramid. Here it is, right here in this picture. Pyramids are in Egypt. A pyramid, Sam said, like in ancient Egypt. Only children made this one. There are pictures of real pyramids in these books you knocked off the shelf. Wow, Sarah said. I didn't know there were books about stuff like this. Are there books about those other fun things I was climbing? Sarah asked. You mean the Statue of Liberty and the Eiffel Tower? Sam grinned. Follow me. Sam is an expert on books. We're going to do some research. Research is when you look for information about things. And you can do research in books or you can do research on the computer. It's kind of a hard word to say, huh? We'll start with Egypt. What's research? Sarah asked. It's how you find out about things, Sam said. If you can't go to the real pyramids, you can read about them right over here. Sam and Sarah pored over dozens of books, and Sarah oohed and awed at the pictures. She gazed up at the tall shelves and said, Research is fun. Let's climb up high and see what books are up there. Remember, Sam has never climbed up there before. Not tonight, Sam said, looking warily at the tall shelves. Warily means he's a little nervous about him. Maybe we could play down here. Then let's pretend we're pharaohs in Egypt, Sarah replied. We can use these books for research on how to dress up. It was nearly daylight when Sam returned home. He picked up his pencil to write about what had happened. He had never met anyone like Sarah. So look at, there's Sam. He's writing his own book. And you can see he's drawn a picture, and now he's writing his words. Wow, look at all those books. Can you see them? That's a lot of books. Libraries have lots and lots of books. The next night, Sarah said, There's a Jeep up there that's just our size. Sam, come on. We can pretend we're exploring and drive to the top of the tallest mountain. I don't think you can drive to the top of the tallest mountain in a Jeep, Sam said. Besides, we can pretend from down here. You're not afraid, are you? Sarah asked. Of course not, Sam said in a squeaky voice. He really is. Look at, even if you look at him here, he looks kind of afraid. Sarah saw that Sam was nervous. We could always do a little research first, she said. Good idea, said Sam. While looking at a book about mountain climbers, Sarah had another idea. I'll be right back, she said. She returned with some string and a paperclip. I'll hook one end of the string up at the top, she said. Then I'll drop the other end down for you to tie around your waist. That way you won't have to worry about falling. Boy, Sarah's pretty clever. I'm not worried, Sam said as she started to climb. Soon it was his turn. He remembered he had read that when climbing he should not look down. So he didn't, because sometimes when you look down, it makes you a little nervous. Look, they made it to the top. At the top of the shelf, Sam breathed a sigh of relief. It hadn't been as scary as he thought it would be, and he and Sarah played and played until dawn. Back on the ground, Sarah said, You know, I'll bet we could explore even more of the world if we rode on that airplane over there. Sam looked up at the display the librarian had hung above the tallest shelves. It doesn't really fly, he said, and we couldn't reach it anyway. I know it can't fly, Sarah said, but think of how much of the world we could see from up there. We can climb to the top of this bookshelf, then jump over to the plane. It'll be easy. But Sarah wouldn't take no for an answer. Sam, she said, tonight we're going to get into that airplane and we're going to see the world. Throughout the day, Sam was so nervous he could hardly sleep or read. He didn't want to let Sarah or himself down, but he didn't want to get into that airplane either. You can see here he's very nervous. Oh my goodness, I don't think he's nervous anymore. That night, Sarah led Sam to the top of the bookshelf. The airplane looked very far away. We're explorers and good jumpers, too. We can do it, Sarah said. Sam clenched his teeth and crept to the edge. Follow me, Sarah said, and then she jumped. Look at her right there. And Sam back there. Sam jumped too and climbed into the seat behind Sarah. We're off to see the world, she cried. But just at that moment, the string that held up the airplane broke. Woohoo! Sarah hollered. Ah! Sam screamed. They sailed over the Eiffel Tower and the Great Wall of China, over the Statue of Liberty and the Great Pyramids. They sailed past volcanoes and mountaintops, past coral reefs and deserts, between dark rows of bookshelves, and right out the door of the children's room. Look at, can you see Sam? He's covering his eyes. The airplane bumped to a stop in the dark hallway. Sam leaped out of his seat. He didn't stop running until he was back in his little hole in the wall. That's how afraid he was. Sam, cried Sarah, come back. Explorers don't run from danger. Sarah's not afraid of anything. Sam hid behind his bed and wouldn't come out. But later, when his heart stopped pounding, he went to his writing desk, picked up his pencil, and got to work on a new project. Readers and writers are explorers too, he said. Wow, Sarah said the next evening when she saw Sam's book. Sam and Sarah See the World. See, that's the title right there. We're both a couple of explorers. And we never even had to leave the library, said Sam. We didn't have to leave the library, Sarah said with a twinkle in her eye. But just think of the books you could write if you really got to see the world. What do you say we take a little research trip? As they strolled through the library, Sam didn't know what to say. He had never met a mouse like Sarah. So we read about two very courageous, brave mice who got to learn and see so many different things. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Look forward to tomorrow's stories. Bye.